What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 46. I got Derek Towels on here with me this week. What's going on, man?
Oh, not much, man. What's going on with you?
Ready for this weekend, October 1st, opener here in Indiana. To say I'm ready to go is an understatement.
I get that, man.
That's awesome. So, for anybody that don't know you, man, or follow you on GoWild, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man. Derek Towles. I'm working part time with GoWild. I've been working part time with them for about a year now. It'll be a year in October. I've been on the platform since it dropped for Android, and then the full time job that pays the bills. I'm full time on the fire department. So
That's awesome. So, and you're from Kentucky, right?
yes, sir. I'm right here in Louisville.
That's awesome, man. My whole family's from Kentucky, a whole different part of Kentucky, but I kind of grew up cutting my teeth in the hunting game in Kentucky. I actually killed my first ever harvest period was a turkey in Kentucky before I even got in on the whitetails. I killed my first turkey down there at the age of 14.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. Kentucky's a whole nother ball game, for sure. I think compared to Indiana, for sure. I just went down for the archery opener there in Kentucky,
hmm
some public land with some guys that do it, have been doing it for 11 years. And I didn't realize that there was that much public land in Kentucky. Hopefully, I'm not opening a bunch of doors for people, but there's a ton of public land down there.
There is quite a bit here. I was surprised. I've only hunted Indiana actually this last turkey season back in the spring, and I was surprised how much public land was up in Indiana. So I guess we're both experiencing that in each other's states.
All right. Well, I
Yeah.
know that down there, southern Indiana, I just had Phil Polston on from down there, and you and Braden hang out with him a little bit, but I didn't realize that there was that much public land down there either, to be honest with you, because that's kind of a drive for me. It takes me about 2.5 hours to get to Louisville from my house, which I know isn't crazy, but I never really find myself hunting too much down in that part of the state.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell everybody how you got started in hunting.
Well, I mean, I kind of a normal story, if you will. I grew up in a hunting family. My dad hunted. He hunted small game as a kid, and then later in life, as a young adult, got into deer hunting and everything like that. And then I came along. I remember the first time he took me hunting. We went squirrel hunting. I don't know how old I was. I mean, probably 7 or 8 years old, and I was hooked ever since then. The rest was history at that point. I stuck with it. I know you and me talked a little bit. I took a little bit of break there when I was a teenager. I was playing travel hockey, so that kind of took priority, and some other things, school, girls, But
Right.
yeah, but got back into it in college, and it's become my life ever since then, man.
You kind of threw me off when you said travel hockey because when I think of Kentucky, hockey is never something that comes up. Around here it doesn't come up either. I'm actually a huge hockey fan myself. You can't
Okay.
see it back here, but there's a Chicago Blackhawks banner on the other side of one of these
Oh,
deer.
I'll forgive you for that
Right.
one.
But normally you don't hear too much of the hockey talk
No,
in our area.
No, we actually kind of moved around a little bit when I was real little, and we were living in North Carolina when I actually started playing hockey. I had met a friend at school, and his family was from Connecticut, and so they're a big hockey family. And I'd go hang out with him, and we'd go ice skate, and I could just do it at a super young age, and started playing hockey there. We moved back up here because the family's from here originally, so we moved back home, and there's an ice rink here. We had a travel hockey league, and signed up and played pretty much up until the end of high school.
That's awesome, man. I wish I could have played hockey. That wasn't really a thing where I grew up. It was mostly just the other sports, baseball, basketball, football, and I definitely wish I could have done that. I think I could have been pretty good at hockey.
Oh yeah, it was different even for here. I mean, I tell people I played hockey. Everyone's like, "Are you from Canada?" Uh,
That's awesome. So let's
yeah.
talk hunting Kentucky a little
Okay.
bit. Talk about train features. Uh, kind of how we'll talk whitetails for this
Okay.
episode. I might get you back on, maybe talk some waterfowl or turkey on another episode. But let's focus on some whitetails.
Yeah,
What
man.
kind of property are you hunting down there in Kentucky?
So I do most of my deer hunting about an hour south of Louisville. It's a family farm that's been in our family for quite a while now. It's very, typical Kentucky kind of rolling hills, limestone beds, real thick deciduous, oaks. Um, eh, not not super hilly or anything. It's not like if you get into the eastern part of the states, where the mountains are and everything. It's nothing
Right.
like that, but it's definitely not, flat central Indiana that I know that you might be
Right.
more familiar with.
Yeah.
There is some ag out in the area. We don't have any on our farm. There's a property next to us. They're usually in corn or soy, but our property is about a 50-50 split between, hardwoods, and then it's got pasture fields for grazing for cattle.
Definitely, man. I think I would say in the last maybe 5 years, I've noticed, anyways. It could have been way before that. I feel like Kentucky really took off in the deer hunting world. I
Hmm.
never really heard of many people. I mean, a few people here and there, but all of a sudden, I don't know if it's the velvet stuff
Yeah,
or what, but I feel like Kentucky. A lot of people are putting it on their calendar as whitetail hunters.
absolutely. I've noticed more people, just in the last handful of years coming from out of state to come hunt here. And then especially on GoWild, I'll see and talk to people that are from all over, and they'll be asking questions. Hey, we're headed to Kentucky. What can you tell us? So I think it's definitely gained some attraction.
Yeah, I seen a stat on Kentucky DNR website when I was doing some digging on there before I headed down there. Kentucky annually brings in $550 million a year just from whitetail licensing.
Wow, I
That's
believe it.
that's a
Yeah.
huge number for
Oh
your
yeah.
state for revenue. I think a non-resident tag is like 375, if I'm not mistaken. So they jumped the number up, which good for them. If there's
Yeah.
that many people traveling to your state, uh, just like Indiana, Indiana, we have bumped our licensing up for some stuff for this year. I know I just bought my Indiana tags today. I do what's called a bundle, so I get 3 deer and that's with every season. It's good for all seasons, and I
Okay.
think I paid $95. If you were to buy the same thing as a non-resident, you would pay 550.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty steep. But then again, I think people are starting to put Indiana on their map too, especially
Hmm.
after the Huff Buck and everything. I
Yep.
think a lot of people are coming to Indiana for sure.
Absolutely.
So, do you cut your teeth on any public land when it comes to whitetails?
No, I really haven't done a whole lot of deer hunting on public land. I do most of my public land hunting is for the waterfowl, and then I've
Yeah.
trapped on public land as well. Done a little bit of turkey hunting on public. Like I said, grew up with the family farm, grew up hunting out there with dad. I definitely grew up as a private land hunter because we had it. I mean, so why not? It's been just the last 5 years that I've probably started hunting on public land.
And I'm the same way. I grew up hunting private on everything. Didn't matter if it was turkeys, ducks, or everything. And that's kind of why I threw together my public land deer camp this year in southern Indiana. I wanted to have a deer camp on public land. People are coming from all over. I want to see how you do it. And like
Hmm.
people helping each other out. I know Phil's helping some guys out from Texas, really, showing them where they should probably set up and that kind of thing. But I've never really been a public land hunter. Turkey's about it. And then I got into the waterfowl game as well.
Hmm.
That's basically all public land for the most part until I came back from college, and then I got a lot of public or private spots for waterfowl. But public land can be pretty challenging, I think,
Oh yeah.
especially having a mobile setup. A lot of people went with the climbers for a long time. Now it's the whole saddle setup and all that stuff. But public land can be pretty tough, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, I haven't hunted it for whitetail, but I've done my fair share of public land hunting for other stuff, and I mean, and then out west too, which that's a whole other conversation. But all
Yeah,
that's
we'll
public
get
land hunting out there.
yeah, we'll get to that
Yep.
here in a minute.
Yep.
So talk about your private land. Let's do a little dive a little bit deeper on the whitetail talk. What about stand locations? How are you setting up your stand locations on your private land?
Yep. So we have quite a few kind of established ladder stands that have been there for a long time. I know it's kind of the conversation you and Phil had. And, it's like, well,
It's all good.
that's where Grandpa killed deer, so that's where we're gonna kill deer too. So we definitely have those locations. But then I went with the saddle 4-ish years ago. Started hunting from the saddle. Been using that to get around and hunt all these other areas on the property that for at least my life I can think of have always been overlooked. And we don't really have a whole lot of water, so to speak, at our property. We have a couple ponds. The deer won't typically go hit those ponds. So what I'm usually focusing on is the mass crop, acorns, and everything like that. And then kind of going back to your conversation that you had with Mike Larson up in Michigan,
Hmm.
I hunt a lot of field edges as well. We have those. Those are always tend to be really good spots. Um, and just I mean your basic stuff that everyone's looking for with whitetail hunting. Your choke points, your funnels, areas that the deer are going to use. Travel corridors and such. I actually found quite a few good areas while out there turkey hunting this last spring that I'm like, well, how come I've never deer hunted here before? So that's kind of my plan this year, and just looking for game trails, mass crop, everything that I just mentioned.
Do you think switching to the saddle on your farm helped you discover some of these areas, just branching off and not hitting those ladder stands and you've been hunting your whole life?
Absolutely. I mean, once I got the saddle and got the feel for it and got comfortable with it, I mean, I know people say any tree. It's not any tree, but a lot of trees you can hang from and hunt from. And once I realized that, why go sit in that same stand that we've sat in for 15, 20 years, and let's go find some other spots. Now that I can go set up anywhere.
Yeah, you think it increased your success rate?
It's definitely, I don't know if it's necessarily increased my success rate, but it's definitely growing my knowledge of the property as a whole and helped me get like a better picture of deer movement on the property and what's actually going on out there. I see deer almost every hunt out there.
That's
So
awesome.
this the success really comes down to just when I decide to pull the trigger or let an arrow fly.
Yeah, yeah. What about scouting? What all kind of stuff you got going on scouting your property?
So I used to run cameras years ago, and I need to get back into it. Me and Braden have actually been talking about it a little bit, especially with the GoWild connection. We sell quite a few cell cameras, and that would be what I would want to run because, like I said, the property is about an hour south of here, and before cell cameras, it was a hassle to go down there and set these cameras and then let them sit for a few weeks, drive down there, go hike through the whole property, go pull cards because I didn't have the cameras in like easy to get to spots. So it would be quite a bit of hiking. And it just kind of became a deal where it would be a whole day activity going out there just to check cameras. So now that cell cameras are becoming a bigger and better thing, I definitely need to reconsider running those out there. But I haven't actually ran cameras out there in probably 5 or 6 years at least. Usually my scouting just starts in September when I just start getting out there and just doing sits with the bow, and I'm just seeing what's out there. I don't typically try to go take a deer early in the season. I usually wait until that mid to late October and then into November time is when I actually start wanting to take a deer. Everything up to that point is just observing, scouting, and then I do a lot of scouting also, like I said, in the spring when I'm out there turkey hunting.
Hmm.
Just because you're hunting one species doesn't mean that you can't be looking out for what's going on with the other species.
Absolutely. Have you had some
Mhm.
pretty good success down there turkey hunting on your farm?
Yep, yeah, I would say, and I think this kind of is true for the whole state. I feel that our turkey numbers have been declining, and I've seen that at our farm. I can remember in the early 2000s. I mean, there was turkey everywhere, and now, I mean, we still see them. We still have good hunts out there. I killed a nice long deer this year out there, actually on Easter.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we have good success out there with turkey. My hope is that as a whole, the population will start to come back. I'm sure everyone's thinking that, but numbers
Well,
are numbers are down. I can tell.
what about deer numbers? How is your herd as a whole there where you're at?
I would say it's been consistent in pretty much my whole life. I mean, I've never seen a huge, you know, drop or increase in deer population out there. I've seen more mature bucks in these last, handful of years, and I think that just comes from better discipline from me and other people that are out there hunting. So that's nice. But I would say, as a whole, the numbers that they've seemed consistent my whole life out there.
Man, we're getting hit with that EHD hard right now here in
Hmm.
central Indiana. I just got an email yesterday from the Indiana DNR. A couple of the counties here close to me are going down to one doe counties,
Oh
and
wow.
a lot of my buddies and their friends here in the area have been finding a lot of deer close to
Hmm.
water and all that stuff. couple pretty nice bucks. It's been happening for a while. It seemed like we were actually kind of recovering from it, and then we had a really dry summer, and it just, man, it's been bad here lately, and it
Hmm.
definitely shows for sure. Like I picked up a farm about a mile from my house, and I drive the block, every other night or every night that I can. Uh,
Hmm.
and I've seen decline in numbers here just close to my house within the last couple years. I drove it last night. I saw about 5 or 6 does, and before that, you would drive through there and you'd see 10 or 15.
Hmm.
It's just wild. I hope they can figure out something. I don't know if there's even anything you can do on that whole deal, but hopefully Central Indiana comes out of it for sure.
Yeah, we typically deal with that every year, especially in our area. Kind of the good thing about it is it's nothing's good about it, but it's not a chronic issue. It's not like the CWD. And usually
Right.
it'll hit, and you might have a rough summer. You'll lose some deer, but usually they rebound come the next year.
Right.
Is always the silver lining, if you will.
Right. What about? I know you're big on cooking, and we'll definitely
Mhm.
get to some of that too. But processing your harvest, you do everything yourself.
No, I need to get more into it. I've done more myself over these last handful of years. I've I have Let me backtrack. I have done it myself, but it's not my normal thing. We have a processor down the road from the property. Typically, I'll take it to him, let him take care of it. Obviously, we'll field dress it and everything, skin it in the field, get it over to him. Um, I've especially this year, I've been thinking more and more about wanting to do it myself. More of that process myself. I'll still probably take some stuff to him because he makes some really good summer sausage. So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Uh,
but yeah.
I didn't know if you got some buddies that come over and help you get a little assembly line going, drink some beer, watch some football on a Sunday or something.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice. So I usually have some people in town also, like in our peak deer season here, and a lot of the
Hmm.
time it's I'm trying to hunt, but then I'm also trying to get them on deer. So there's always we're always trying to hunt. We're trying to dedicate as much time as we can to the actual hunting process. So um, if I get a deer down earlier in the season with a bow, I'll try to take care of it myself. I did that a handful of years ago. Was the last time I did one myself. And when I have more time, just to focus on what I want to do and not worry about getting other people on deer, then
What about you had my mouth salivating earlier and didn't
yeah,
even know it. I went through your GoWild account just to maybe find some talking points and stuff, and it looks like you cook up about like I cook up. I don't miss
yeah.
many meals over here. I saw some of your stuff, man. It looks like you're doing a lot of wild game cooking.
Oh man, that's at home. That's all I do. I haven't bought meat from a grocery store for at home in 5, 6 years at least. You'll notice I keep saying 5, 6 years. That's kind of like when all this became like my life. So there was a
Right.
huge change about 5 or 6 years ago. But yeah, I mean, we cook at the firehouse, so I'll buy meat from the store when I'm cooking at the firehouse. It's kind of hard to feed 9 guys game. I'd go through a deer in a month if I was trying to do
Right.
that. Yeah. But at home, I mean, that's all I do is game. Anything that I hunt, catch, trap, anything like that. It all goes in the freezer and it all ends up on the table.
Oh, absolutely. So what's some of your favorites when it comes to venison?
Favorites when it comes to venison. I really like the barbacoa recipe that Hank Shaw has. If you've ever looked into that one, it's a super simple recipe. It's throw it all together in a crock pot and let it sit all day. So if you got other things going on, it's every time I feed that to people, they're amazed. Actually, a friend the other day, I had some leftovers that were at their house, and they fed them to some of their friends, not knowing their friends didn't know it was venison. When she told them, they're like, "What? We don't eat deer." Like, well, you just did. Like, they're like, there's no way. This is too good. They had the idea that venison and game is no good or whatever.
I know. I hate when somebody says that. I just heard that the other day myself. I think we were at work talking about it, and
Hmm.
somebody said that they could tell that it was venison because of the gamey taste. I'm like, well, you ain't had my cooking because there ain't no
Yep.
gamey and nothing about it. You probably wouldn't even know that it's a venison steak over a beef steak if I cooked it
Yep.
right.
Yep. Yeah. The,
uh,
the barbacoa is always a one that I love, and I do that one quite a bit. I haven't done this one in a while, but another real good one is a Cuban picadillo recipe, and that just uses ground venison, throw some tomatoes and olives and stuff in that, and throw it over a bed of rice, and that one always everyone loves that one as well.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I know you're big into waterfowl. What's some good duck
Hmm.
recipes you got?
I'm still trying to master cooking duck, but I've definitely got some that my go-to. The one that if I can't think of anything else to do with a duck is I'll coat the duck in maple syrup and then put salt on it pretty liberally, and then I'll throw it in the smoker and usually smoke it with some kind of fruit, so cherry or apple. And you don't want to overcook it. I mean, that's the key with game. And pull it off as soon as it's ready. And I want to say it's about 145. Don't quote me on that. I usually have to
Okay.
look up
I'd have to
what
look
the
that up too.
yeah. I don't want anyone taking cooking temperatures from me and get it wrong or whatever. But look that up. But
we
as soon as
back when I got into duck hunting real hard, Ducks Unlimited magazine was such a staple at my house back
hmm
when I was a bachelor. When it would come in the mail, I'd look through it and read everything, and I would always cut out the recipes out of it.
hmm
So I have a whole folder of Ducks Unlimited recipes. My favorite one to make is root beer glazed duck. It's
oh
kind of like an orange chicken type of
uh-huh.
situation with some white rice. Man, oh my lord, it is good.
That sounds good. I might have to get that one from you.
Yeah, it's good, man. I don't know if they may have a whole catalog of those on their website or something, but I'll try to
Yeah,
find it for you.
yeah.
Do some gear talk. What kind of bow you toting down there?
So I just switched this year to a Bear Resurgence. I've always used a Bear. I used a Bear Encounter for years before that, but
Hmm.
decided to upgrade and got a Resurgence this year, and I love that thing. So this will be the first season I hunt with it.
That's awesome. I had a bear for a few years too. It was a Bear Instinct, I believe, is what it
Hmm.
was. I used that for my college years and even into my 20s a little bit. And then I finally got me a new bow. But yeah, Bear's pretty good. And you guys are teamed up with Bear there at Go Wild as well, right?
Yes, sir, we are. We're hoping to be selling their products very soon, but we are teamed up with them. We're partnered with them. So,
That's awesome, man. They do definitely do a great job putting some good bows together.
hmm
Actually, we were just talking the other day. They have a lot of like the ready to hunt setups, which for maybe somebody that is afraid to go to a bow shop or don't really know how to set everything up, could be a great situation for you. Maybe just getting into archery or something like that. I think one of those setups would be pretty good for you.
oh, absolutely. I mean, even if you're not new into it, I mean, the package I got was the ready to hunt package, and I mean everything that comes with that. You can't. I mean, yes, there's definitely better products out there. There's things that you could spend a lot more money on and get nicer bells and whistles, but what they sell on those bows stock is great. So.
That's awesome. I'll have to check that out myself. You talked about saddle. What kind of saddle you got and sticks and your whole setup?
I run the tethered. I use an older one that they don't even make anymore. I think it's what became the Menace, but it's the Mantis.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you can still probably find one used somewhere, but they don't actually sell that one anymore. But that's what I run. And then sticks, I use the Hawk Heliums.
Mhm.
And then
Sweet.
as a platform, I just kind of have it was an old platform for a climber that I just kind of rigged up and made into a platform for saddle. So.
That's awesome. You got any? How do you uh, get in as you would say, like your bag with your sticks and all that kind of
Mhm.
setup? What kind of backpack situation you got going on?
So I this year just purchased a Badlands Diablo, and that's what I'm going to try to run this year. I've got it all set up already. I haven't actually hunted with it yet. Our bow season opened when I was out west, and then haven't been able to bow hunt since I've been back yet. I was focusing on our early waterfowl, but my plan is as soon as October starts, I'm going to be out in the woods. So see how it actually works. But at home, at least with everything in the pack, it seems like it's working real good. But it's got a compartment in the back that I'm able to not compartment, but there's straps in the back that I can strap to the platform too, and then the sticks sit real easily on the sides of the pack. And then before that, I just had like a real simple backpack, and I'd sling my sticks over my shoulder and made all kinds of noise. Probably sounded like an elk, busting through the woods. But so upgraded that this year.
That's awesome. So you've touched on it a couple times now, but talk about your relationship with Mike Larson, and you said he mentored you a little bit. Talk about hunting with Mike.
Yeah, man. Met Mike through GoWild. He was, I mean, like you said, I mean, he's one of the original users on GoWild. We just chatted on the app, in the early days, and then GoWild had the first meetup, and it was at a bar right around the corner from my house, and this would have been back in 2018. And he drove down and came and hung out for the weekend and was at the meetup, and that was the first time I actually met Mike in person, and we hit it off. And I always knew that he was someone that I could call, text at any time if I had a question about anything, and he just taught me a ton. And so that year in rifle season, I'd killed a not a great buck, but a decent buck. There was a bit of a story to it. Just it was not an easy buck to get that year, and finally got him. And so Mike does a lot of woodworking as well, and he makes these plaques for European mounts. And I asked him, commissioned him, if you will, to make me a mount. It's in the shape of Kentucky, the plaque, and then I got the European mount on there. And when he sent it to me, he wrote a little note on the back saying, like, uh, hope that one day we can share a hunt together. It's been, glad we met on GoWild, everything like that. And so it wasn't too long after that. I'm like, let's make this happen, man. Like, let's actually go hunt. Um, so he came back down to Kentucky for another GoWild meetup, and me and him went squirrel hunting when he was in town then. So that's kind of the first one. And then I ended up going up to Michigan and hit their early goose season back in 2019, I guess it was. And he kind of showed me the ropes of, hunting goose up there. And we had a great time. And then fast forward to this last spring, me, him, and another guy on GoWild, we went down to Tennessee and met up with that guy. He's on the app, Appalachian Assassin. I'm sure you've probably seen
Oh,
him.
I've had, is that the oh man, does he have a call company?
No,
I must be
no,
thinking of somebody different, but I have seen that name on
yeah,
there before.
yeah. He's legit, man. He's a hardcore hunter as well. So the three of us met up and we did a little 3-day turkey hunt down in Tennessee. And so, I mean, yeah, and we just continue to keep planning more trips. And Mike taught me a ton about waterfowl, taught me a ton about deer hunting, taught me everything I know about trapping. I mean, he's what taught me to get into trapping. So,
Trapping can be a lot of fun, man. I
oh
haven't
yeah,
done it in years. I went through a stretch in high school where we would run trap lines before high school, checking for coons,
hmm,
but mostly back then. And then after college, I got into trapping some muskrats and stuff,
hmm,
beaver and stuff. And then I tried my hand at coyote trapping for a little bit. Those things whooped my ass there for a couple
yeah,
years. I tried to do those. Uh,
yep,
Man, there's a trick to getting the old coyote in there. I know some sheep farmers not too far from me that showed me how to make snares out of airline cable, and I tried that
yeah,
for a few years, and I wasn't very good at it. And then I tried the 550s, and my trapping career has been definitely had its ups and downs, but I
hmm.
definitely enjoyed it when I did it.
Oh yeah, I've predominantly just done water trapping. This year, I'm going to try to get into trapping raccoons, possum, stuff like that. Kind of help out with turkey population on our farm. Try to hopefully get rid of some of those nest predators. But
Definitely.
yeah.
Seems like you really like the waterfowl thing, man. Talk a little
Hmm.
bit about what kind of waterfowl you got going on.
Yeah, so I mean, we waterfowl hunt here in Kentucky. Kentucky's not a waterfowl state, though. It's not known for it. Waterfowl hunting here is not easy. We got a pretty good goose population, mostly resident. So I got a couple good spots for goose. But we'll hit duck season hard, and we might end the season with 6 ducks for the whole season. Um, but I just love it, man. And I enjoy it. I love getting out there. It keeps me outside longer throughout the year. And then I have a really good buddy down in Texas, and we go down there about every year and go waterfowl hunt with him, and that's lights out. That's way better than anything we have here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got big into waterfowl for several years, man. We have some good spots here. I got some buddies close that are huge into it. A couple that still deer hunt with me. Have you ever heard of JT calls, duck calls and goose
No, I
calls?
haven't heard that one.
It's
No.
a local thing, but he sells a lot of calls, and we got to hunt with them one day, and we shot like a 8-man limit of mallards and an eight
Oh
man limit
wow.
of honkers, and it was pretty good. And we've had
Yeah.
some hunts like that over the years, but my favorite here in Indiana is hitting big water when we hunt some of these bigger lakes
Hmm.
and get on the divers. Man, that stuff is
Hmm.
so much fun compared to puddle jumping sometimes.
Yep, yep. The only experience I've had with divers has been down in Texas. So pretty much everything else here is, wood ducks and mallards, mostly
Yeah,
what we're seeing here.
definitely. Well, let's talk about your trip to Colorado bear hunting.
Yeah.
Uh, where do we start? I mean, how did you prepare for this? Is it something that you had to put in a tag or by preference points for, or is it an over the counter tag?
So it wasn't quite an over the counter tag, but it basically was. It's so Colorado does a September rifle season. And it's a limited quota, and you have to apply for the tag and wait, and then they draw. But most all of the units that offer that tag, you have 100% draw odds with no points. So you got to put a little bit more forethought into it than just an over the counter tag. But if you put in for the application, you're going to draw that tag. So that's what we did. That was my third year hunting out west. I just started doing that in these last 3 years. I went with a buddy, and it was his first time going out west. And so we talked about it for a little while. I said, what do you want to do? What do we want to hunt? We looked at places because he had no points out west for any western states, and I've been
Mhm.
building some for the last handful of years. So we said we need to find something that we can hunt that won't take any points. So there's a couple of options. We could have done a antelope hunt or something like that. And you draw a lot of antelope tags with no points. Um, there's some states that have some mule deer tags that are no points, but we decided let's try bear. We've never none of us have really hunted bear before. Let's try that. And that's when I found out about that limited quota season in Colorado and put in for it and got the tag and went out there and did it, man.
That's awesome. How did you scout, or was it like an e-scout situation prior to going, or did you like set it up, or hey, I'm going to camp here the first day, here the second day? How did you
Mm-hmm.
put all that together prior to going out there?
Yeah, we did a lot of e-scouting, a lot of time on Onyx or just looking at Google Maps. Actually, Mike was a big help in there because he's hunted out in Colorado before. He told me, hey, every time I've been out there, this is what the bears like when I see them out there. Talked to a couple other people on GoWild and some other people I know personally that have hunted bears before, just been around them, and kind of used all that information to find areas that look good on Onyx. And then we got out there and found out that the bears were not in any of those areas this year. Yeah.
So, did you when you got there? I know I saw a picture on your Go Wild. Looked like some stuff maybe you thought you could drive on. It kind of
Hmm.
ended up being a little bit of a hassle for you.
Yeah, man. We did a whole episode on Uncensored for the Go Wild podcast. If anyone wants to go check that out too and hear a whole lot more about the story, I know we don't have all the time in the world here to talk about it, but
Oh, you
yeah,
can.
we
I'll hear it. Let's hear some of
yeah,
it.
yeah, man. We were gonna focus on oak flats was kind of everything that we heard going into this. Focus on the oak flats, and because they're getting ready for hibernation this time of year out there. It's early, but they're still thinking about it. They're putting on those food stores. So we found an area that looked like it would have some good oak flats in it. And it looked like there was a forestry road that drove right into this general area. And if you had a four wheeler, you maybe could have made it all the way, but my truck was not going to make it all the way. And we tried, and we ended up coming about a mile short of the area we wanted to set up in. So that night we turned around and started to get out of there, set up a camp that night, did a little scouting, weren't seeing any oak flats in the area that we were in, and decided, this isn't the area we want to be. Let's go try to find another area. And then leaving is when my truck got stuck. Um, so that was a whole ordeal, but we eventually got it out and got a couple pointers from some local people there that told us, yeah, and they said you're thinking right, but they're not feeding on acorns yet because the acorns haven't even started producing yet up in that elevation. They said they're still focusing on the berries. It was dry, it was warm, even though fall had just started. It was still very much summer out there, and they're just focusing. They're feeding on those berries, and the berries are down in these real deep, dark, wet places that are just thick and really hard to get to. So we had to change gears completely and go from like a Western, glassing, spotting, and stalking method to more of like a whitetail method where we just set up in these ambush points and set up over these berries and eventually we made it happen on day 5, I believe it was when we had a black bear come in, and we were able to get a shot off on it that evening and recovered it the next morning.
So were you on the ground or did you set like a stand up?
No, we were on the ground because, like I said, we went out there with the full intention of setting up on a side of a mountain and glassing with the spotting scope. So I mean, I even told my friend when we were out there, I was like, if I known it was going to end up being like this, we could have brought saddles.
No kidding.
But yeah,
What's some of the gear that you had to take out there with you that maybe you don't normally use?
bigger packs definitely out west because you do get an animal down now. You got to pack that animal out. Also, like at least for me, my deer hunting here, it's usually like a day type thing. I'll get out there in the morning. I might do an all day sit, especially in that peak activity. But then that evening I'll come home and take a shower, eat food, everything like that. Whereas out there, you pretty much got everything on your back for a week. We did have a base camp set up, which was nice, but just a bigger pack was definitely one thing. Trying to think if there's anything else that's really different from hunting in the east for whitetail or anything like that. You're still running the same boots, a lot of your same gear, especially with black bear. They're gonna smell you, so you're being very conscious of your winds and everything like that, which is similar to deer hunting as well.
Right.
Um,
What about, you talked about your base camp. Was it everybody did everybody have their own tent situation or did you set like a big like outfitter type of tent up?
no, it was just the two of us, so we just had a small, little 6-person tent. It says it's 6-person on there. It fits 2 people comfortably, but you could fit 6 people in there, but you'd have people stacked on top of each other. But yeah, just a real basic tent like that. Kept the truck there. We had a camp stove, everything right there at the truck. So a real simple camp with it just being the two of us. Now, when you start, having a bigger crew of people, then that's definitely when you start looking into wall tents and stuff like that. But
Right. What about like your food water situation? Did you have like a cooler in your truck with all your food and water, and then pack some of it in, or was your truck accessible at the base camp?
yeah, so food we did. Kind of our lunches were all preserved type food, bars, tuna cans, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then suppers, I brought for the first couple nights we had like venison brats and some stuff like that I could cook on the camp stove. But then as the trip went on, we just kind of resorted to your freeze dried meals, your mountain house, peak stuff like that. So just real simple, boil some water on a jet boil and pour it in there.
Right.
Um, but yeah, then we did have a big cooler in the truck as well. That was for if we did get a bear, which came into play. We did keep a few things in the cooler as well, but pretty much everything we had was preserved type foods, freeze dried, everything like that.
Was your buddy able to get one down too, or were you the only lucky one?
No, I was the lucky one that got to pull the trigger, but I mean he was as much of a he it's equally his bear as it was my bear in my opinion. We both put in the effort. He helped big time after the bear was down. I mean, it's as much his bear as it is mine, even though I'm the one that got to pull the trigger on it. And then we hunted hard after that to try to fill his tag, but it just didn't end up happening.
What did you have any trouble like getting to know like out of state laws? I know like when you travel out of state, like I do sometimes, going through their rules and regulations, you're like, why is it like this? Was there anything
Hmm.
like that you had to get used to?
Uh, Colorado's pretty simple. There are some Western states that do have some things that if you don't know, it could bite you.
Hmm.
But Colorado's pretty simple. And then, I mean, call the DNR, the Parks and Wildlife, whatever their agency is. I mean, they're more than glad to help you out. And we even actually stopped at a checkpoint on the way in before we headed off into the national forest that we were hunting, and just hung out there for like an hour and talked to the guys that were hanging out there working at the checkpoint. Just they gave us some tips on places to look. We asked questions. I made sure, hey, are we doing everything right? This is everything we have as far as tags, permits. We got our hunter's orange. I mean, am I missing anything? And they're super helpful, and they want you to succeed, and they're going to make sure that you're doing everything right. So I always recommend that. It's just people to just reach out and call the agencies in the states. That's what they're there for.
Right. You have any other plans for 22 fall to travel anywhere else?
Yeah, so me and Braden are actually going to be heading out to Nebraska in December with a
Nice.
muzzleloader tag. Yep, so that'll be a good hunt. And then there's a potential of another bear hunt almost as soon as we get back from there. I don't really want to say much on that just because it might not happen. So
Right. So
yeah, but
how's this Nebraska trip setting up to be? You said it was a muzzleloader hunt for whitetails
well, it's a
and muley.
general deer. Yeah, it's a general deer tag, so I'm pretty sure it is good for either. The property that we're going to be hunting at, it is private property out there that we're going to be hunting at. I've talked with them, and they said that every once in a while they might see a whitetail, but it's predominantly mule deer out there. So
That's awesome.
that's what we'll be after out there. Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. I think Nebraska gets overlooked for muleys and whitetail and turkey, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I know there's a lot of people that go out there chasing them on the big public land out there. They have a ton of public land in Nebraska to
Hmm.
hunt on. I know a lot of it's wide open. Not really kind of what we're used to chasing here
Yeah.
in the Midwest, but uh, that would be fun, man. I'm kind of jealous now hearing that.
Oh yeah, man, it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a quick hunt. I think we got 3 days actually on the ground to try to fill a tag. So we'll see what happens. And
That's
then,
awesome.
like I said, a potential for another bear hunt, but that may or may not happen. And then outside of just our deer season here with the bow and the rifle, and then going into waterfowl season here, I don't really have any waterfowl trips planned this year. I don't think we're going to head down to Texas, or if we do, it'll probably be in January in the later part of the season. But that's pretty much the rest of my 2022. So.
That's awesome. Well, that was kind of revolved around my next question. What's your goal for the fall of 2022? Did you already meet your goal by killing that bear?
My goal going into every year basically is I want to try to hunt, at least one more new state. I want to try to hunt every state that I can. I would love to hunt all 50. So if that can happen one day, that'd be great. And I was able to check off, and this isn't really just a goal for the fall. This is a goal starting at the beginning of the year. I mean,
Right.
I was able to hunt 3 states, I believe, this year that I've not hunted before. So, and that is no, 3. So actually, Nebraska will be 4 this year. So yeah, I mean that's it. I'm meeting that goal as we're speaking when I'm hunting new states, and then obviously I just want to get out there. I want to learn. I want to experience nature, and I'm not necessarily. Yes, we all want to fill a tag, but that's not why I'm out there. It's just a bonus. It's
Yeah, for
really just to
sure.
be out there and to learn and to grow and become a better hunter and a better outdoorsman.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Go Wild a little bit.
Yep.
What's your position at Go Wild?
So I work in our warehouse. I work under Dan. Dan's the head of e-commerce, and so I'm actually in the warehouse slinging packages, so to speak. And then I do some other work on the back end. I help Braden out with some stuff here and there. But that's my main job is in the warehouse.
That's cool, man. How did you come into that? Just something that you applied for and got, or did you know somebody, or how'd that work out?
So I mean, I've got in with GoWild as soon as it dropped. I actually was, emailing Donovan before GoWild was even on Android. I I just happened to catch a little quick blurb on a local news one morning talking about how 4 guys in Louisville had started a outdoors social media app, and I caught the name of it real quick and looked it up, and I couldn't find it, but I could find a contact, so I emailed, and it ended up being Donovan that emailed me back, and he said, hey, we're not on Android yet, we're only on Apple, but I'll send you some stickers, and I was in communication with those guys, and then as soon as it dropped on Android, I had it, and I've been on the platform, since it's been available, and became really good friends with all 4 of the co-founders. And then Jacob, when he came on, which I actually knew Jacob, kind of small world. Louisville's kind of a small town, even though it's not. I knew Jacob before Go Wild, and so I was just became really good friends with all those guys, made connections, and when they got to the point where they needed to hire, help in the warehouse, Brad reached out to me and said, "Hey, I know you with your job at the fire department, you got some days off." He's like, but I also know you like to hunt a lot. But if you ever want to come work for us, just let us know. So when can I start?
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So is the uncensored, is that something that you're on there with them every week, or is it just like every other episode, or how's that work?
Yeah, we don't really have like a set cast, if you will, for that podcast. We
Right.
usually record it every Monday morning, and it really boils down to who's in the office that morning and who did something fun that weekend that we can talk about. So yeah, I'm not on there every week, but I do make some appearances there every once in a while. And like I said, we did a whole episode last week just about that bear hunt. So
That's awesome. I'll have to check that out. I just honestly, as much as I've been on GoWild in the last, I don't even know how long I've been on there. I've been on there for a
mhm.
while now, but I kind of just recently found the uncensored show. I listened to the one where Braden was talking about the Huff Buck and how he
Yeah,
had the pin, the pin, and all that.
yep, yep. I
That's
think
awesome.
Braden ended up going viral after that
Yeah,
episode.
I
I
know.
think.
I ended up seeing it on TikTok after I listened to it. I was like, "Oh, look, it's on TikTok."
Yeah, we actually, I know you said you're going to be talking with the O2 guys here soon. We were all kind of poking fun at Braden after that episode.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm on the O2 podcast tonight.
Yeah.
Andrew texted me this morning
Hmm.
because I listened to their episode this morning on the way to work, and he seemed like he was down about a situation on missing a doe, and
Mm,
had a pass through, but never recovered her and all this. So I sent him a video from I think it was 2020. One of my guys that I filmed, he shot an arrow right into that no man's land,
hmm.
that loin spot there on the top of the back, and we saw her the next morning. We had very little blood. She
Hmm.
survived. We knew she survived, but shit can happen when archery
Oh
hunting,
yeah.
especially
Oh yeah.
depending on your shot, and all that stuff. And I said, just let it go, man. Get your nose back down to the grindstone, have a good time. And he texted me right after that. Hey, man, we'd like to get you on this week talking about filming hunts and stuff. I'm like, I'm game. Let's go.
Yeah, man. No, they're solid guys, and then I also can relate with what you're talking about there and what Muntz is talking about. Yeah, I had a really good shot on a doe last year with my bow, and something happened there last minute, and that there ended up going real low, and I just hit her in the brisket area. I'm pretty sure she was absolutely fine, but just for days it beat me up. So,
Yeah, it definitely can take a mental toll on you. And I
hmm.
was listening to him, and he said that he rushes his shot a lot. As far as when he pulls back, he feels like he doesn't have much time. I was like,
Hmm.
dude, just when you pull back, get your spot, get settled in, and take your time. I know it can be frustrating because he said he hadn't killed a deer in like 6 years prior, like last year or something like that. I'm like, I
Hmm.
understand maybe the nerves and stuff got you a little
Yeah.
bit, but just settle down, bud. It's gonna be all right. It
All right.
wasn't a 200-inch deer out there.
All right. Wasn't the huff buck.
Right. Oh, that's cool, man. Well, I'm super glad that we put this together and got you on here, man. It's pretty cool to meet you. You Go Wild guys. You guys have been super supportive of my show and everything, and it's been fun to get to know you. I can't wait for you guys to do another Send It Slam because that was
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're just as excited about that as everyone else. Hopefully the weather will be a little better.
right.
Yeah.
Well, tell everybody where they can find you at on social media and throw your shot out there a little bit.
Yeah, man. Just I'm on GoWild and that's it. I kind of swore off all social media years ago and stuck with GoWild, which is kind of why when I heard about it originally, it stuck out to me. I was like, that's social media I could get behind. So that's where you'll find me. That's the only place I'm at. I know there's some videos of me floating around on TikTok and Instagram that GoWild's created, but me personally, I don't have any kind of profile on those platforms. Uh,
I got you.
yeah, man.
Well, everybody, you can find Blue River Bow Hunting at Go Wild, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If there's something out there, you can find us on there. And we'd love it if you give us a rate and review on the podcast and follow us and all that good stuff. And check out the YouTube. And if you're listening to this, you probably follow all those things anyways. But we do appreciate supporting the show. But everybody have a good rest of the week. And if you're getting out in the Indiana deer woods, good luck.